At 4 years old, Alexandra Eala had no idea what a Grand Slam was. She didn't know what the WTA rankings were. She didn't know the names of the champions she would one day defeat. And she certainly couldn't have imagined that one day, an entire nation would stop what it was doing just to watch her play tennis. She was simply a little girl watching her grandfather and older brother hit tennis balls. Then one day, she picked up a racket herself. That tiny decision would eventually change Philippine tennis forever. Because today, Alexandra Eala is no longer just a promising young player from the Philippines. She is a Grand Slam junior champion, a WTA champion, a Wimbledon history maker, a player who has defeated multiple Grand Slam champions. And at just 21 years old, she is already one of the most talked about rising stars in women's tennis. But the most incredible part of her story isn't where she is today. It's how far she had to travel to get here. Alexandra Eala was born on May 23, 2005, in Manila, Philippines. She grew up in a family where sport was already part of everyday life. Her mother, Rafa Nadal Eala, was a competitive swimmer who represented the Philippines at the 1985 Southeast Asian Games. Her father, Mike Eala, supported Alex's development, while her older brother Miko also played tennis. But there was another important figure in Alex's early tennis life: her grandfather. Alex would watch her grandfather and her brother hitting balls. And eventually, curiosity took over. At only 4 years old, she started playing tennis. That is the first number you need to remember in Alex Eala's story. 4. Because almost everything that happened later can be traced back to that moment. She wasn't a teenager looking for a career. She wasn't a professional athlete. She was just a child discovering a game. But Alex quickly showed something that coaches couldn't ignore. She loved competition. She wanted to improve. And she wasn't afraid of being challenged. By the time she was 6, she was already entering tournaments. And then the results started coming. At 8 years old, Alex won the under-8 division of the Little Mo International Tennis Grand Slam Championship in Florida. For most children, winning a tournament at that age would simply be a fun memory. For Alex, it was an early signal. There was something different here. She continued competing internationally and developing her game. Her talent wasn't limited to the Philippines. She was beginning to make her name across Asia and eventually across the international junior circuit. But then came a moment that changed the direction of her entire life. 2018. Alex was only 13 years old. She traveled to France to compete at Les Petits as one of the most prestigious junior tournaments in the world. And she won. Not only did she win, she became the first wildcard player in the tournament's history to capture the title. Suddenly, the question wasn't whether Alex was talented. The question was how far that talent could go. And the answer would require a huge sacrifice. Spain. At around 13 years old, Alex began training at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca after winning Les Petits as. Think about how young she was. At an age when most teenagers are still completely dependent on their familiar surroundings, Alex was building a new life around tennis. New country, new environment, new coaches, new training system, new expectations. The academy wasn't simply teaching her how to hit a tennis ball. It was teaching her how to live like a professional. And that distinction would become extremely important. Because being a great junior player is one thing. Becoming a professional is something completely different. At the Rafa Nadal Academy, Alex trained in an environment built around one of the greatest players the sport has ever produced. She learned discipline. She learned physical conditioning. She learned recovery. She learned how to prepare for opponents. And perhaps most importantly, she learned how to deal with pressure. The little girl who once watched her grandfather play was now training thousands of miles from home, trying to build a career that very few Filipinos had ever built before. Then came 2019. Alex was becoming one of the strongest junior players in the world. She helped the Philippines qualify for the ITF World Junior Tennis Finals for the first time in more than 2 decades. She also began collecting major junior results internationally. But just when her development was accelerating, the entire world stopped. COVID-19. Tennis tournaments were suspended. Travel became difficult. Normal life disappeared. For a young athlete trying to climb the rankings, this could have been a disaster. But Alex kept working. She trained. She stayed ready. And when tennis returned, she was ready to take another step. In 2020, Alex made a major breakthrough on the Junior Grand Slam stage. At Roland Garros, she became the first Filipino player in 35 years to reach a Junior Grand Slam singles semifinal. Then came another historic moment, the Australian Open Junior Doubles Championship. Alex partnered with Priska Madeline Negrohu and won the title. She was only 14. Suddenly, Grand Slam trophies were no longer a dream. They were becoming part of her reality. But Alex wanted more. She didn't want to become famous simply because she was a promising junior. She wanted to become a professional. And in January 2021, she took another huge step. At just 15 years old, Alex won her first professional singles title at an ITF event in Monaco. It was only her 6th women's professional event, and there was something almost poetic about where it happened. The tournament was held at the Rafa Nadal Academy, the same academy where Alex had been developing for years, and Rafael Nadal himself congratulated her after the victory. For a teenager who had grown up admiring Nadal, that had to be an extraordinary moment. But Alex's journey was moving much faster than most people realized. In 2021, she also won the Roland Garros Junior Doubles title with Oksana Selikhmedova. 2 Junior Grand Slam doubles championships were now on her resume. But there was still one box she wanted to check: singles. She wanted a Junior Grand Slam singles trophy. And in 2022, she got her chance. New York, the US Open. Alex entered the junior singles tournament as the number 10 seed. She won match after match, and something remarkable happened. She didn't lose a single set on her way to the final. Standing between her and history was Lucy Havlikova of the Czech Republic, the Roland Garros Junior champion that year. The final was tense, but Alex was ready. She won 6-2, 6-4, and with that victory, she became the first player from the Philippines to win a Junior Grand Slam singles title. Think about what that meant. A 4-year-old girl who had started hitting balls with her family had just become a Grand Slam champion. But this wasn't simply Alex's victory. It became a victory for an entire country. Filipino fans filled the stands. Her family watched from the crowd, and Alex became emotional while talking about what the championship meant. She made it clear that she wanted the victory to help Philippine tennis. She wanted young Filipinos to see her and believe they could dream bigger. That was the moment Alex Eala became much more than a tennis prospect. She became a symbol. But there was a problem. Junior tennis was over. Now she had to face the hardest transition of all: professional tennis. The junior circuit can make a player feel unbeatable. The professional circuit teaches you very quickly that nobody cares what you did last year. Every opponent is dangerous. Every ranking point matters. Every loss can feel like a setback. And Alex experienced that reality. She entered professional tournaments. She traveled constantly. She played players much older and more experienced than herself. She lost matches. She learned. She adjusted. And she kept climbing. In 2023, she continued collecting professional titles and experience. In 2024, she reached another level. Her ranking moved upward. She won a major ITF singles title in Vitoria-Gasteiz, and she began getting closer to the WTA Tour. But something was still missing. She needed a breakthrough that would make the entire tennis world pay attention. Then came Miami. March 2025. Alex arrived at the Miami Open as a young player still trying to establish herself. And then the draw placed her against some of the biggest names in the sport. First came Jelena Ostapenko. Alex won. Then came Madison Keys, a Grand Slam champion. Another huge test. Alex won again. Now the tennis world was starting to ask, who is this player? But Alex wasn't finished. Then came Iga Swiatek, former world number 1, multiple Grand Slam champion, one of the dominant players of her generation. The expectation was obvious. Swiatek was supposed to win, but tennis doesn't care about expectations. Alex stepped onto the court and played fearless tennis. She defeated Swiatek, and suddenly, the story had changed. This wasn't simply a promising junior champion anymore. This was a professional player capable of beating the best. The Miami run carried Alex all the way to the WTA 1000 semifinals. She became the first player from the Philippines to reach a WTA 1000 semifinal, and her ranking exploded. For the first time, Alex entered the top 100. But perhaps the most important thing she gained in Miami wasn't ranking points. It was belief. She had already dreamed about playing the best. Now she knew she could beat them. Later in 2025, she continued developing. She reached her first WTA Tour singles final at Eastbourne. She won a WTA 125 title in Guadalajara. And by the end of the season, she had reached the top 50. But 2026 would be different, because Alex was no longer chasing recognition. She was chasing the world's best. The year began with challenges. There were losses. There were tournaments where she didn't go as far as she wanted. But that's exactly what makes professional development so difficult. A champion isn't created by one magical tournament. It's created by surviving the tournaments where things don't go your way. Alex continued working. She improved. She became more comfortable on different surfaces. And then the grass season arrived. She won the Birmingham WTA 125 title. She reached the semifinals in Berlin. And suddenly, Wimbledon was approaching. This time, Alex wasn't entering Wimbledon as an unknown teenager. She was seeded number 29. The little girl from Manila had become a seeded Grand Slam player. Then Wimbledon gave her the biggest test imaginable. The defending champion. The same player Alex had defeated in Miami. But this time, the stage was even bigger. Center court. Wimbledon. Defending champion against rising star. Swiatek was expected to control the match. Instead, Alex took control of history. The first set went to a dramatic tiebreak. Alex won it. Then she took the second set 6-2. Match over. Alex had defeated Swiatek again. And she had become the first player from the Philippines to reach the second week of a Grand Slam singles tournament in the Open era. Read that again. The first. A country that had waited decades for a player capable of competing deep into a major tournament now had Alex Eala. And she wasn't finished. The Wimbledon run eventually ended in the fourth round against Jasmine Parolini. But the defeat almost didn't matter. Because Alex had already changed the perception of what was possible. The WTA recognized her grass court breakthrough. Fans overwhelmingly voted her the WTA star of the swing. She had reached a career-high ranking of number 28. And suddenly, the tennis world wasn't wondering whether Alex could belong. It was wondering how high she could climb. Then came Washington, the Mubadala DC Open. And this tournament would become one of the most important chapters of Alex's entire career. Her path was brutal. First, she faced Zheng Qinwen, an Olympic champion. Alex survived. Then came defending champion Leylah Fernandez. Alex survived again. Then Alina Svitolina, another major name. Another victory. And then came Naomi Osaka, four-time Grand Slam champion. Former world number 1. Alex defeated Osaka 6-4, 6-2. Now she was in her first WTA 500 final. Waiting for her was Jessica Pegula, world number 3, top seed, one of the strongest players in the tournament. And the final became a test of everything Alex had learned. Pegula won the first set 6-4. Then rain interrupted the match. The final had to be suspended. Alex was behind. The momentum belonged to Pegula. The pressure was enormous. But when the match resumed, Alex came back. She won the second set 6-4. And then came the third set. Alex didn't simply win. She dominated. 6-0. Jessica Pegula was defeated. Alex Eala had won her first WTA two-level singles title. And history was made again. She became the first player from the Philippines to win a WTA two-level singles title. But there was something even more important about the victory. It didn't feel like the end of the journey. It felt like the beginning of a new one. After winning the title, Alex's ranking climbed to a career-high number 20, making her the first Filipina to reach the WTA top 20. And Alex herself didn't talk like someone who had finally reached the finish line. Her attitude was almost the opposite. She had achieved the goal. Now she wanted more. That mentality may be one of the most dangerous things about her game, because she isn't satisfied with simply making history once. She wants to keep moving. And that brings us to the present. August 2026. Cincinnati. Alex arrived after her Washington championship and a strong run in Toronto. The momentum was enormous. She was now a major attraction wherever she played. Filipino fans were traveling across the United States to see her. The support that once followed her at the 2022 US Open had grown into something much bigger. Alex had become a global story. At Cincinnati, she entered as the number 17 seed. In the second round, she faced Elena Gabriela Ruse. Alex was leading 6-1, 3-0 when Ruse was forced to retire. And suddenly, another huge match was waiting. Amanda Anisimova, a top 10 player, a major name. Another opportunity for Alex to prove that Washington and Wimbledon weren't isolated moments. As of August 17, 2026, that match has not yet been played. And that's important, because Alex Eala's story is still being written. She is only 21. She hasn't reached her peak. She hasn't won a Grand Slam singles title. She hasn't become world number 1. She hasn't achieved everything she dreamed about as a child. And that is exactly why her story is so exciting. Because imagine the journey again. At 4 years old, she picked up a racket. At 8, she was winning international junior events. At 13, she moved towards Spain and the Rafa Nadal Academy. At 15, she won her first professional singles title. At 16, she was winning junior Grand Slam doubles titles. At 17, she became the first Filipino to win a junior Grand Slam singles title. Then came the difficult professional transition. The losses, the ranking battles, the long travel, the pressure, the years when she was still trying to prove herself. Then Miami, Ostapenko, Keys, Swiatek, the top 100, the top 50, Eastbourne, Guadalajara, Wimbledon, Swiatek again, second week of a Grand Slam, Washington, Zheng, Fernandez, Svitolina, Osaka, Pegula, a WTA title, top 20, and now Cincinnati. All of that started with one little girl watching her family play tennis. That's what makes Alex Eala's story different. It isn't simply a story about talent. It's a story about development. It's a story about leaving home. It's a story about learning to lose. It's a story about believing before the world believes. And perhaps most importantly, it's a story about representation. For years, Filipino tennis fans had very few opportunities to see one of their own competing at the highest level of women's tennis. Alex changed that. Now young Filipino girls can watch Wimbledon and see a Filipina standing across the net from a Grand Slam champion. They can watch a WTA final and see a player carrying their country's flag. They can see Alex walk into a stadium and hear thousands of Filipinos cheering her name. And maybe somewhere in the Philippines, another 4-year-old girl is watching. Maybe she is holding a racket that is too big for her. Maybe she doesn't know what a Grand Slam is. Maybe she doesn't know who Iga Swiatek is. Maybe she doesn't know how difficult professional tennis will become. But she sees Alex Eala. And suddenly, the dream doesn't look impossible anymore. That's the real legacy Alex may be building. Not just trophies. Not just rankings. Not just records. Possibility. Because Alexandra Eala has already proven that a little girl from the Philippines can leave home, travel across the world, train among elite athletes, survive the brutal transition into professional tennis, defeat Grand Slam champions and become a WTA champion. And she's only 21. So the most interesting question isn't what Alex Eala has already achieved. The most interesting question is what happens next. Will she break into the top 10? Can she reach a Grand Slam quarterfinal? Can she reach a semifinal? Can she win a major? Can she one day become the greatest tennis player the Philippines has ever produced? Nobody knows the answer yet. But that's what makes watching her journey so exciting. Because the story that began with a 4-year-old girl and a tennis racket hasn't reached its final chapter. Not even close. Alex Eala isn't looking back anymore. She's looking forward. And if her journey from 4 years old to the top 20 has taught us anything, it's that we should probably pay very close attention to what she does next.